All right, Bill, great to see you again, as always. Let's start with impeachment. John Bolton, a no-show on Capitol Hill today, but we are hearing, according to the Washington Post and Bob Costa over there, that John Bolton might testify if he's compelled to do so by a court ruling. Is there anything that John Bolton could say, considering everything we know about the transcripts and the transcript of the call, the transcript of these hearings, anything Bolton could say that would change anyone's mind?
Yeah, I think Bolton could hurt President Trump if he describes a situation that's unsavory. Now, the Trump administration seems to have Secretary of State Pompeo lined up against Bolton, so it'd be Pompeo versus Bolton, because Pompeo was on the phone call to the president of Ukraine. Pompeo is involved in all of the discussions about Ukraine investigating things that the United States wanted investigated. So, but Bolton, because he's a conservative guy, he's got credibility in that world, could hurt Trump if he chooses to.
Right.
But John Bolton has a lot to lose if he does that, so I'm not so sure that will happen.
Right. Let's talk about Rudy Giuliani, too. He's hired some lawyers. Do you think he's in trouble?
I think that the liberal court people, like the Attorney General of New York State and people like that, will go after Mayor Giuliani, yes.
And what about, he continues to be set up as this rogue actor running his own shadow foreign policy, and it seems to upset even, some of the traditional conservatives, just like John Bolton.
Well, look, I don't know what Rudy Giuliani did, but he is Donald Trump's personal lawyer. So if you have a lawyer, or I have a lawyer, and we have an interest in Ukraine of some kind, well, send a lawyer to Ukraine.
Right.
So it doesn't seem on just the surface that there's anything here. However, if Rudy Giuliani was acting in the name of the United States government, then there could be a big problem.
And that's what
because he's not authorized. Yeah, he's not authorized to do that.
And that seems to be what some people are implicating here, but we'll see what comes of it. Also, another topic here in domestic politics.
Well, wait, John. John. Wait.
Okay.
Some people are inferring that. You're absolutely correct.
Right.
Based on what?
Well, based on what? Based on their understanding of his involvement.
Did they know?
Right. Well, these are people who are involved in the Ukraine policy.
Involved,
this is Marie Ivanovich.
Just because he's over there doesn't mean he did anything wrong. This is what drives me crazy about the American press. He's there, okay. He runs a firm that does international work, and he works for Donald Trump as a personal lawyer. You can't draw dastardly conclusions about him being there, and the press does it all the time. And it's so wrong. That's the point I wanted to make.
No, you're right. And it's not just the press, though. It's some of these same people who are testifying who don't actually have any direct knowledge of what was going on there, but they feel it and they sense it and they think there's something wrong. And that's the origin of a lot of this stuff. And they leak it to the press, and then the cycle perpetuates itself. Right?
Yep, exactly right.
All right. Domestic politics. Jeff Sessions has decided that he wants to run back for the Senate in Alabama. Roy Moore, he has qualified for that Senate race as well. If you're advising President Trump, who are you picking in this race? Who are you endorsing? It's not a great situation for the president to be in.
Stay out of it then. Alabama's going to go for Trump. He doesn't need to get involved in the Senate race down there. Obviously, the Republicans would like the seat. If it's Sessions against Moore, Sessions will win. I don't know about, anybody else running down there. I'm not following Alabama politics, but if I were Donald Trump, I don't go anywhere near this race.
Well, the other question is, do you think he can stay out of it, given his history with Jeff Sessions?
He's going to be busy next year. Trump's going to be busy. I usually say, look, let the Alabamans decide. I mean, that's not hard to do.
Yeah, we'll see what comes of that. Also, another big topic, too, is this whole situation with ABC News, and this is a lot more serious here than the last question. We now know that CBS, at the request of ABC News, has fired this leaker that used to work at ABC News that leaked the video of Amy Robach talking about everything she had on the Jeffrey Epstein case. What do you think about this? It does seem like ABC News is going pretty far to investigate the leaker as opposed to investigating actually what happened with Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, I don't know what ABC's doing behind the scenes. It's been embarrassed, that's for sure. The same thing NBC was embarrassed for, covering up for powerful people. Does that happen? Yes, happens all the time at the networks. Why I left the network news. There is a lot of this synergy between executives in the news department and famous, powerful people. I didn't like it. All right.
Hmm.
I don't like a guy leaking stuff out. That happened to me at Inside Edition. The famous will do it live tape.
Yeah.
Somebody sold that. Somebody at Inside Edition sold that to make me look bad, and the guy got money. So what do I think of that creep? You know, he's a
Hmm.
lowlife. So I don't mind the guy who leaked the ABC tape getting fired by CBS because he's untrustworthy. If you do it ABC, he'll do it to you. Out.
Yeah.
But the bigger question is at ABC and NBC didn't report legitimate, important stories because of office politics, and that's wrong.
Okay, let's talk about recent 2020 campaign endorsements here. The squad is split now. Ayanna Pressley is endorsing Elizabeth Warren, which is big, as you know, because Warren struggled to attract supportive black voters. And AOC and the rest, they're going with Bernie Sanders, a guy who you don't think has much of a shot in this race. The other anti-endorsement, we'll call it, comes from The Nation magazine. They are anti-endorsing Joe Biden, asking him to step aside. Which one of these do you think will have the biggest impact between now and the Iowa caucus in just a few months?
None. The Nation magazine is a communist thing. That's how far left they are. Of course, they don't like Biden. So, and nobody reads the Nation magazine, not only what it is, that's irrelevant. The congresswoman in Massachusetts has to endorse Warren. Warren's a senator from Massachusetts. They have to. Nobody cares about the squad anymore. That was 24 minutes of fame. They're gone now. Or Ocasio-Cortez still gets attention, but Americans are over that, so they don't care what they do. So none of that matters. What matters is that Bernie Sanders is through. He's finished. Not a factor. Doesn't matter how many votes he gets in Iowa or New Hampshire. He's not going to get the nomination. So it comes down to Biden versus Warren.
In which direction do you think? I mean, there is indication that the country and the Democrats, not the country, but the Democrats are moving in that Elizabeth Warren ultra-liberal, perhaps socialist direction. Do you really think that's the trend they're going to continue on?
No. I've told everybody I think Biden will be the nominee. I still think he will be unless somebody else gets into the race. Bill Gates calling out Elizabeth Warren is pretty much the end of Miss Warren in the liberal precincts.
It was so
she's just too far out there.
It was so interesting to see how far Bill Gates tried to tiptoe around the answer to that question, but in the end, he couldn't avoid it. Great to see you as always, Bill. Thanks so much for your time.
Okay, John. Thanks for taking the time. Bye.